out-of-control spending has become our nation's enemy. And in fact, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, said before he left that post that our nation's debt is the greatest security threat that we face as a nation. I cannot agree more. And I pledge to you, I will not give up until we defeat that enemy. Since 2007, when I first went to Congress, I've been standing against the out-of-control spending. Both parties are guilty. And though it has often been a very lonely fight, I'm not afraid to wage it. And I plan to take that fight to end this wasteful spending to the United States Senate. You see, more money in Washington means more power and control in Washington, while it leaves less money in your pocket and less control over your own lives. Friends, I'm running to take the money out of the pockets of the politicians in Washington and leave it in your pockets. Spending is so out of control that your share of the national debt is over $53,000 for each person in this room. If we don't stop this out-of-control spending, you'll be paying so much in taxes that you think that you'll be working for the federal government. In fact, I think we all are now. That's just not the American dream. I'm fighting so that you can keep more of your money and so that you can work for your own American dream and for your families. It's bad enough that our government takes too much of your money, and now the IRS wants to use its power to attack Americans that it disagrees with. This government is too big. It's too out of control. It's not a government of the people, but it seems like it has a philosophy of a government over the people. And it must stop. The IRS wants to take your freedom, but I say, let's get rid of the IRS. That's the reason I support the fair tax, which is the only way to get rid of the IRS. Friends, we must have someone who will lead the fight to stop this madness. Government needs to live within its means. Folks, we must stop shaking down taxpayers to fund this never-ending, never-satisfied spending addiction in Washington. Georgia needs a U.S. Senator who will take a stand to stop the irresponsible spending. Folks, I am that leader, and I will continue to fight to stop the spending. I'll be the only candidate in this race whose first priority is to stop the spending, stop this out-of-control government, and I've got the record to prove it. When they see me coming, when the appropriators see me coming, they cringe. They know I have my scalpel in hand, and we're going to be cut spending. And I'll keep saying no in the U.S. Senate and say yes to you and yes to preserving American prosperity and liberty. In the last 2 years, as an example, I've supported measures to cut over $155 billion, targeted spending cuts from our runaway spending. And let me give you some examples of the kind of cuts that I support. Right now we spend almost $70 billion a year on the U.S. Department of Education. The average salary for those fat cat bureaucrats who've never taught a child to read is $102,000 a year. That's twice what teachers make here in Georgia. I say, let's shut down the Department of Education totally. Let's keep that money here in Georgia. Let's pay our teachers more. Let's get the government shackles off the teachers so that we can have a world-class education system right here in Georgia. And while we're at it, let's shut down the EPA too. Of course, we must be good stewards of our environment, but we don't need this bloated bureaucracy taking billions of dollars of our money, and it's already killing jobs and hurting our economy today. We've got to stop it. Because I stand firm on the Constitution, because I vote the way I vote, the Club for Growth has rated me the #1 member of the entire U.S. House of Representatives, of all 435 members, as a defender of economic freedom. And I've also been endorsed by my friend, my former colleague, former presidential candidate, Dr. Ron Paul. I will do everything that I can to defend your God-given, constitutionally protected rights to own a gun. In fact, that's why the Gun Owners of America and the National Association of Gun Rights have endorsed me as well. We must never lose our Second Amendment rights. In fact, I'm the chairman of the Second Amendment Task Force in the U.S. House, fighting to keep your right to own a gun. Friends, we need to make Washington smaller and make America bigger. And we do this by reducing taxes and by getting government off of your backs. Government regulations cost businesses over $1 trillion every single year. Think of the jobs that we could create and the higher wages that you could earn if businesses didn't spend so much money on regulations. That's the reason I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I have consistently voted to reduce the size and scope of government. Government should do its job, not yours. And in fact, Senator Dugan should have more political power than we have in Washington. We have to return to constitutionally limited government, as our founding fathers meant it. That means stopping the irresponsible spending that both parties are guilty of doing. That's why I've introduced the strongest balanced budget amendment to the Constitution of any in the U.S. House. Now, I don't know about what this have in the Senate, but I can't imagine one any stronger over there either. If families and states have to balance their budgets, so should the federal government. There are 4 questions I ask about all legislation. The first, is it right? Does it fit the Judeo-Christian biblical principles that our nation was founded upon? Second, is it constitutional? Is it constitutional in the original intent? Not this expanded idea that government can do anything that it wants to and spend any amount of money that it wants to. Third, do we need it? Fourth, can we afford it? If all 4 questions are yes, I'll vote yes. If one question is no, I vote no. And I'll pledge to you, that's how I'll vote in the U.S. Senate. Now you'll hear other candidates say about how conservative they are and how much they want to cut spending. But look at what they've done in Washington. It will be clear that I'm the only candidate in this race who has the record and the will to say no to the out-of-control spending. Now I've got some questions for you. Y'all want a senator who will vote to raise your taxes? No. You want a senator who's voted for a bailout? No. Do you want a senator who will vote to raise the debt ceiling? No. Do you want a senator who has requested millions of dollars of earmarks? No. You can trust where I'm going because you can look at where I've been. I'm the only candidate in this race who has the record of stopping this out-of-control government and out-of-control spending. I've never voted for a debt ceiling increase. I've never voted for a bailout. I've never voted for a wasteful stimulus package. And I've never voted for a tax increase. In fact, I believe that if 10% is good enough for the Lord, it ought to be good enough for Uncle Sam. Yes. Georgians deserve a proven leader. who's been in the trenches working to stop this irresponsible spending. It's being done by both parties. I am that leader. I have that record. I have that will to say no. Now, with these facts in mind, just ask yourself, which candidate in this race is truly the consistent conservative? Well, I'm Paul Broun, the father of 3, the grandfather of 2, and the wife of, and the husband of my wife. I'm not that guy.
Now we know who runs that.
I'm the husband of my wife of 28 years, Nikki Brown, who's with us here today. In fact, we'll celebrate our 28th wedding anniversary.
Well, you got that right.
Just this next week on June the 19th. But you see, I'm fighting for their future, and I'm fighting for the future of your children and your grandchildren by stopping this out-of-control spending. The 3 words that I use to describe who I am and what drives me. I'm a conservative, a constitutionalist, and a Christian. I'll continue to lead that fight against the out-of-control spending in the U.S. Senate. I need your help. I need your vote. I need your support. I need your check. Most of all, I need your prayers. And with your prayers, and with God's grace, this is a race that we will win. Thank y'all so much.